Hey guys, this is BenKyo Study Group, class number 117, Must Know Life and Death Shapes, Part 3. So there's two previous videos you guys can check out. This one, first of all, is going to serve as a cleaned up and organized version of those past ones, although they do have some content that this one doesn't. And same thing for this one, it's going to have some things that the other didn't, but mostly it's going to be just like a very cleaned up, very easier to digest kind of version, and kind of like a primer, a life and death primer. We're actually going to spend the first few minutes, not too long, on very, very basic stuff, like close to beginner almost kind of stuff. But we're going to also reach a lot more advanced stuff too. So this is the kind of video that you can actually revisit, and it's going to be very useful. If you get a strong grasp on all of the shapes in this video, you're going to have really, really a lot of foundation, even for being a Dan level player when it comes to life and death, and some of the shapes that are good to kind of just know. Yeah, so I've made sure to not include any shapes that I kind of wanted to, I would love to include, but are just not as basic, as common as these ones. So I've kept it very sort of streamlined in that way. I highly encourage you guys to do a lot of pausing as you watch the video and, try to solve things for yourself. I think this is a great, this video itself can be a great source of tsumego practice for you, reading training and all that too. So I'm actually going to go pretty fast because this is actually being recorded as a video and not this time as an interactive group class, because of a tournament that I have this weekend in Toronto. So I'm actually sending this as a video since I'll be gone for the usual group class time. So yeah, I'm gonna go a pretty fast pace, but you can always use that good old pause button. You can hit your space bar, that usually works. Okay. At the end of the video, there's actually going to be some extra kind of bonus homework problems. And for those of you a little more advanced, those bonus homework problems are probably going to be pretty good. They will be pretty difficult for DDK players, but you can definitely give it a shot. The journey is the reward. You don't need to actually, succeed. You just need to do the work, and that's what makes you stronger. Okay. So yeah, we're going to kind of go like more basic at first and then get more advanced in a general, not absolute, but just kind of a general trend. Okay, so we're gonna take a look first at some killing shapes. So these are shapes that basically, if you could make this one of these shapes inside of your opponent's territory, a small territory or small life and death shape, of their isolated position, right? Then you might be capturing them, as long as there aren't too many extra spaces around. So so for example, if there was a white group that let me use the right tool here. Yeah. So actually I do need to use that one first. Yeah. So if we had this one getting captured, like this, then this would be the eye space we're talking about, and we assume that excuse me, we assume that this is fully surrounded by black. So just keep that in mind. We're gonna always just assume that the shape is fully surrounded. So what I mean when I show these killing shapes, basically, imagine that white had a shape that is let's say something like this, and black has white surrounded, and there's some black stones in here. So if it's white's turn right now, white can actually capture 5 black stones like this. So that would be representing this killing shape. And I call it a killing shape because it actually has a middle. This is actually the middlemost stone of all of these 5 stones. And so what's going to happen there is black plays in the middle now, and this actually kills white. It stops white from being able to partition their space into 2 eyes, 2 compartments. This would be an eye, and this would be enough space for another eye potentially another 2 eyes, which we don't need. So white would be alive, or if black plays first, then white would be dead. Yeah, no matter how much we keep playing it out. We play inside again. So this is the 3 stone killing shape, which is that one. And it counts here too, 1 stone, 2 stone killing shape, because it starts like that. But if you ever were forced to capture white for whatever reason, maybe the black on the outside is getting threatened, then you could play this out. White captures you. You play in again. 2 stone capturing shape. White captures you. 1 stone capturing shape. Boom, boom. That's how 1 eye, when it's isolated, it cannot run away or anything. And 1 eye group will always eventually die in this way when we have to prove it. But most of you guys know that, so I don't want to spend too much time here. But, you know, if white divides the space into 2 eyes like this, which could look like that, or it could look bigger too. It could be like a small eye and a big eye. It doesn't really matter. Black is unable to play both of these places at the same time, or even with the bigger one. So yeah, black could play here. It's legal. It's not self-atari, or it's not. Sorry, it is self-atari. It's not suicide. But the next moves would be suicide. Black, this one is illegal. This one's illegal. If only you could play both at the same time, right? But you can't. So that's why 2 eyes lives. But let's move on from that super basic, level now. So yeah, these are all shapes that basically have a middle, or otherwise the opponent would not be able to split out into 2 eyes after capturing it. So yeah, I'll show another example. Even this biggest one, right? Now, most of the time, 6 stones is not going to be a killing shape. It's going to be too many captures, too much space, too much eye space for white when they capture it. But certain shapes are just certain shapes, right? This one has a clear middle point. So when white plays all these moves and then plays the final move, boom, black plays right in the middle again. And even if white tries to contort the shape, it's always going to turn into a killing shape. Even if white ignores black, black is able to prove white dead by eventually putting white's whole group into atari with a shape which is still a killing shape. So this dumpling shape here is actually still a killing shape. But you got to be careful when it's like more than a few stones, because if it's not these particular shapes, it can be a non-killing shape. We're going to look at those. So non-killing shapes here. Notice that there's 2 middles, right? So after black captures these, even if white plays A, black can play B. Like, let's say this is a black group again, right? So a fully isolated, we're just pretending, right? A fully isolated endangered black group. So no black here, it's all white, right? Captures this like so. White tries to kill by playing one of these, but then there's 2 middles, so it's 2 eyes. If only white could play a move and then play another move, right? Then it would be dead. Right? If we imagine this isolated, then this would be only 1 eye left there for black. Yeah, so 2 middles, which means it's a non-killing shape. If you make this shape inside of your opponent's group, that's not going to kill them because there's 2 middles. Same thing with this Z shape, this pesky little Tetris shape that always gives us problems in Tetris. Yeah, this one has 2 middles right in the middle there. This one also has 2 middles. This one is just, that's yeah. If black captures that, there's going to be so many ways for black to make eyes. Yeah, black could even ignore the white move, the first white move. Even if we pretended that there wasn't an eye here, black could still play there, right, and make a second eye. So this is even more alive or non-killing than this one is. So you get the point. Now, even this big dumpling shape, it looks like this one, right? And there is actually a middle. You see, there is a middle. There's a singular middle. However, yeah, it's just too many stones. It's just too big, right? The eye space too big, then it's going to be alive. So after black captures this, yes, this is the middle. It looks like black is dead. The problem is what happens after. So white tries to like ignore black to prove them black tries to ignore white to prove them wrong, but then black could control control white's shape like this, for example. And notice that now, like, let's say we just make this all connected and make it all surrounded, right? So even if it's all surrounded, that's if white wants to put black into Atari, black has to make this non-killing zigzag here, right? The Z shape. So that's not going to be killing black. Yeah, I paused there for a second because I needed to make sure that I don't make an error here. But every time white plays one of these directions, black could play a move that forces white to stop black from making the eye over here. And then put the move at exactly the right spot that leaves white only these zigzags, this one. Notice that also if black does the wrong one, then white actually makes a killing shape. So yeah. So basically, yeah, if it's like 7 stones, it's, you know, it's not going to be a killing shape. Okay, let's move on from the super basic stuff. Actually, we have a bit more super basic stuff, but we're going to go fast. This is like the basic 3. We already looked at that. So black captures, we play in the middle to stop black from making the 2 eyes. This is another case. White has to play here, or black has to play here. Basic 5, same idea, middle. And what do you guys think about this shape? So there's no clear middle, right? There's like multiple middles. So what's the story there? Does that mean black is alive? White cannot kill? I'm hoping you guys are pausing whenever you need to. But this this kind of boxy 4 is dead already, actually, because even though there's multiple middles, black is the one who cannot make 2 eyes even if they play first. So like if black plays here, we just do that one. If black plays here, we just play in the middle, right? So middle. So but even if black ignores and tells white, hey, you kill me, you prove me dead. Well, like for example, let's say black was starting to threaten white on the outside. Then white could prove black dead. Put a stone, and then black takes white's liberty away. And eventually white is forced and then plays another move. And then black is just dead. Right? Or even if black plays first inside again, then yeah, anyway, it's just going to be dead. Okay. So that's the basic 3, 4, 5 stuff. Now we're going to move on to a little bit more advanced. Now we're getting into like strong DDK kind of territory, strong DDK and kind of weak SDK stuff. So here we have 6 in the corner. Okay, make sure you're pausing and reading this out yourself and thinking, because I'm going to be saying the answers pretty quickly. Okay, so this one, normally 6 points of eye space can start to be in the safe range, but the corner is funny because the corner usually helps us. You know, the corner we get more territory with fewer moves. Because we have the 2 edges of the board helping us surround almost like walls, right? Which is what makes the corners and even the sides more efficient than the center most of the time for trying to make territory. We have this territory only with 2 stones, right? But the corner has also some special funny gimmicks caused by the fact that, for example, if you play a stone there, there's only 2 liberties, right? Whereas here it would be 4. So that's how like weird codes and stuff happen. And so sometimes that actually can work against the corner person. So there's a little funny part there, because if you actually do 6 on the side, it's actually alive. Normally the corner lives more easily than the side. The corner, you can even live with only 4 stones like this and getting 2 eyes because of these edges of the board helping us. Right in the center, to make 2 real eyes, you would have to put a lot of moves, like at least this many. I say this many because if white tried to threaten this eye, you could just like play on the other side, right? It's the A and B there is mi, so black is always gonna get at least one or the other. So black's gonna look like this or like this, like this or like this. So that's enough. But yeah, it's way more stones in the center just to get the same 2 eyes, right? Same with the side. The side would need like this much, which is like what, 8 stones compared to 4. Okay. So normally the corner is better, but here the side is actually better when we're talking about this 2 by 3, just like the one in the corner, 2 by 3. So yeah, there's 2 middles, and whichever one white plays, black can play the other. And here, whichever one white plays, black can play the other. Notice that notice the black is not in Atari. There's 2 liberties left. Let's go back to the 6 in the corner. If white touches on the second line like this, then black plays the other middle. But when white, when we have this A and B again, and white actually just takes this one, then it's self-Atari now for black, and black dies. White would fail if they play like this, because black has 2 liberties left. This would end up like the side did. But actually here, we're turning this black move into a self-Atari now. So it's a bit special there. So in fact, this shape here, let me just check our little syllabus here. Yeah, we're ready for this, I guess. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I was just making sure we're following the plan. So attaching here, specifically here to take black's liberty and not here, is going to be the correct one, because this just kills black. And this was actually the only move black could try, because if black plays anything else, white just makes a killing shape. Now let's try another one. Make sure you're pausing and thinking about it yourself. So I've given black an extra liberty, and it's white to play again. So let's try to figure out, can white do anything, or is black alive now, or what? I'm going to say the answer, so make sure you paused. Okay, the answer to this one is that now the gimmick where black ends up doing self-Atari doesn't happen, you see, because black is not in Atari now. White is just dead. And it's going to be 2 eyes. So this move's not working. So we have to try this one. Black also has to play the middle. And this one fails because clearly there's an eye there and 2 eyes. So this one, the white going here, takes advantage of the corner, because the corner causes this move, which is supposed to be like this move, carving out an eye on its side, right? Is actually a self-Atari, and so white can capture, right? That actually means that black is a ko for life here. So black has to win this ko, basically. Okay, so it's ko, yeah. And what if there are 2 extra liberties? Am I tricking you guys with a, you know, a trick question, or and it's just going to be the same, or is there actually a difference now? Okay, so I'm going to say the answer. The answer is that this is just going to be alive now. So let's go back to the single liberty one. So here, notice that black cannot play this double atari to just not fight ko, because it's actually self atari. So black has to fight the ko. So with 2 extra liberties, 6 in the corner is actually alive, right? It's interesting to see. It's not so common, or it's not so constant, but it's nice to see when outside liberties, not even eye space, is actually changing the life and death, right? So yeah, this is a good one to know. So black is just alive because now black is able to just crush white here with a double atari, and white can't even connect because it's a illegal move. And it's not a self atari because black still has their own 2 liberties. Okay, so that's 6 in the corner. And we're gonna move on to talking a little bit more about 6 on the side. There's a little bit more to talk about there. And so just a reminder, I mentioned the other classes. So class, which one is it? Class 116, the last class. Yeah. I mean, both of them really, you guys, yeah, 115, 116, you guys should get those. So those ones go over the outside first method, which in general you should be applying as an efficient thinking algorithm for your problems. But it also provides a whole bunch of tips. I think I added one extra tip when I did 116. So it's the system, I mean, the package there is basically outside first method is your thought system that's helps you think efficiently, think less, and solve problems better. And then you have 6 specific tactical tips that I also provided. And so those go really well together. And then if you wanted to have one more thing in that package, it would be this. It would be a set of common life and death shapes to know really well. If you have those 3 things, you're going to be very solid, right? And then after that, it's really just your raw reading ability, your visualization. Okay. Now let's get back to what we're doing here. So yeah, one of those tips, by the way, of the six tactical tips, right? I'll just say it now though, because it's just useful to keep saying it to you guys a lot, which is in your games, when you have 7 points of guaranteed eye space or more, even when you're not looking like a life and death problem, like a tsumego yet, but you just have some kind of shape, some sort of position with eye space, maybe you're getting a little bit surrounded. You want to know if you're safe yet, right? Because being able to play away and take big points with some other move, as opposed to playing something akin to a pass by defending again, right? Basically passing your turn, like that's very rewarding if you can avoid those wasted moves. It really goes a long way. A single move is worth a lot. So 7 points or more of guaranteed eye space when you look at it and you just imagine your opponent poking in from the sides and all that, right? As long as you don't have any major defects of liberties or shape that's like clearly exploitable of your actual eye space, or your the stones being used to surround that eye space, right? Then 7 points or more is pretty much safe zone. So that's my rule. I hope that will help some of you guys to avoid wasted moves. Now, it doesn't mean you can't live with less than that, right? Because there's case by case. It just means that when you're totally in doubt, you check your shape. If you have 7 points of already guaranteed-ish eye space and you also don't have any defects, serious defects, then you're good to go. Tanuki. Okay. Yeah, Tanuki is play away. Okay, so so this one, we saw that it's just alive no matter what white plays. But let's look at another one. So this one. If it's white to play, give this some thought. Can white do anything here? Notice that we actually do have defects, right? We have these cutting points and a little bit of liberty shortage. Just saying. All right, I'm gonna say the answer. So this is in English referred to as the comb shape. And yeah, it's a shape for the side of the board, and it is alive. Obviously, if white plays something like this and you ignore it, you just get captured and you're just very dead, right? Like this or like this. So you need to respond to white doing that stuff. Like so, and you actually have to play again here because the liberties, it's going to be like atari, and then boom. So you do have to put another one in now, but it's very, very useful to know about this shape because sometimes you're in a situation where your opponent might play a double hane here like this. Or maybe they already have a stone here. Let's say that, and they go here. If you play like this, you just die to this one. It's a 5-point eye space with a middle, right? If you play that one, you also die. They don't even have to play in. They could just reduce you. And then if you block, they can ignore you and you're dead already. And we'll talk about this one later. But going down gives you 1 extra total eye space compared to, for example, this one. Even if there wasn't an obvious poking move here right in the middle, it is actually only 5 eye spaces, right? So life and death, sometimes you can justify descending because it makes 6. But in the general case, you shouldn't descend like this outside of life and death because, okay, quick example, just a little quick tangent here. Suppose we have a couple of territories, okay? Whatever, right? And black plays here. Now, after this, if black just connects, which is correct, by the way, most of the time, typically white will play away because black already profited from up to here. And so normally it's not the biggest move on the board for white to continue here. White needs to find a move that's as big as this one was. And so white does that. But then black locally does have follow-up privilege moves, which are like local sente that are, you know, basically pretty much guaranteed for black here, since white doesn't have any forcing moves, as long as black times it well in the broader scope of the game. So black goes here, white has to back off because this is going to be double atari disaster. And then black can push again and white has to lose these extra 4 points, you see, and black made 1 too. So you get a lot of reduction on white, right? Which is fine. White got a lot when they play some move elsewhere. White already understands that you're going to get those. If white just fixed it, right, or play like this, they would feel bad because they already, you already protected this and reduced it at least 2. And then black gets to play away, then that's too painful for white. So normally white, you know, rather than thinking so locally, white's going to think globally and find something that's just as big as yours. Anyway, so we expect black to get those. So that's a lot of reductions here, you see. But if you go down, black clearly doesn't need life and death help here, right? Black is ultra alive and strong. This is all eye space. White's the one who would have to try to live here to even remotely begin to threaten black. But black stones are close enough together that white is just going to die normally. As long as black responds to whatever white tries to do, black should be able to capture this white, no problem. Anyway, just yeah. So if you actually descend here, you're actually giving white now K1 as a sente because you have to save your 2 stones now, right? From this. And so you have to fix. So you made 1 point at M1. You reduced 2, but you got gote. Now white has their turn, right? And notice that white kept more points. If you just connect, right, you get gote whether you do this or whether you do this. The difference is that rather than force this exchange of K1 for L1, essentially, you should connect it so that when white plays away, you're going to get this and this. That's a huge difference. So in general, okay, on the second line in general, you should not descend except special cases like life and death reasoning, or sometimes in the corner, it can make sense. Like if white's forcing move is worth 0, right, then you can descend. But here it's not worth 0, it's worth a few points. I'll show you a 0 case before we move back to the life and death. So a 0 point case is like, so here, right? Let's say white is just alive, whatever. So when black plays this B1, A2 is actually a better move here than B3, because B3 still allows black to do this one. And then black in the end of the game, when it's big enough, when this is tiny value, the stone is worth nothing, but it's worth like less than a point. But when it's finally time to fight this ko, if black wins the ko, then black gets to keep that 1 point reduction they did to white. So this one here is objectively better than this one because black is never going to get any value playing on A1. Like go here and then go here. Yes, white has to fill that eventually, but they always have to fill that eventually. And then none of these black stones are worth points. So this is a special case because we're in the corner. So that's, then this is better. But I want you guys to understand that normally you should just connect. But let's get back to the life and death here. So black is totally alive here. White just cannot do anything. As long as black responds to stuff. The comb shape's pretty useful, but let's move on to... where are we? Okay, let's take a look at this one. What do you guys think? Is black alive? Is this also 6 on the side? And when I say is black alive, I mean like, is black already alive? I'm not saying is black alive if they spend another move, right? Okay, so the answer is that black is not, because if white simply pushes in by using the outside first method, black blocks to get enough eye space. Well, it's not enough because white can play in the middle. And that's the end of that story. So black needs a stone there to have that shape that we knew was alive. So black is just not alive. It's not ko, it's just killable. Right? We're not going to atari here and give black the opportunity to make a ko. We're going to just play there and it's going to be dead. So this is not 6 on the side, right? This is 5 on the side because white can push in. You only have 5 guaranteed eye spaces right now. That's what I mean about guaranteed eye space. If this were 7 guaranteed eye spaces, then I would encourage you guys to use the general, even if you couldn't read it well, right? Read out what's going to happen. You use the general rule of thumb that 7 or more points of eye space without defects is usually alive. And that would look something like this. Yeah. There are exceptions, like in the corner that shape can actually be a bit dicey. But that's like special cases. Like normally 7 is good to go. Especially there's all kinds of shapes it could be. 7 could be like a really dynamic shape. It could be like this. Like that's ultra alive. So it really just depends on the shape sometimes, but like 99% of the time, that rule is gonna serve you well. As long as there's no major defect, right? Defect, like a lot of weird stuff can happen if there's any defect, even just even just this being not connected, sometimes something interesting could be done inside. So yeah, you have to know what perfect means. Okay. Now let's keep going. What about here? What do you guys think? Well, we know that this one was killable, right? So logically, that one, okay, that one has to be killable because it's worse than the other one, right? Black is worse now. Black was already killable. Black is worse now. So when you, another useful thing, when you know a lot of these life and death shapes, this is the same for Joseki, by the way. I'm not going to talk about Joseki right now, but good guy. Just kidding. Joseki. But Joseki are like that too. When you know a lot of Joseki, you learn a lot of ways and reference points for like handling other Joseki or novel situations that have anything similar. So life and death is similar. When you know some life and death shapes, you can kind of infer that something is killable, is probably killable or not based on similar shapes that you know. So this is of course an obvious example where this one was killable, so this one must be killable if not dead already, right? And so let's think about this. Can black make this live, or is black a lost cause? All right, you can pause and think about this. Okay. Now, some of you, of course, might not want to pause on every one of these, and you might want to get through the video in an hour or two. So, or you might even be putting me on double speed. That's fine. So you can always come back, right? And so I have these homework problems, slightly advanced, I guess. At the end of the file, there's 4 problems. But as you see, there's a lot of problems throughout the video too. And so you can treat this video as a source of many tsumego to work on. So the whole video is your homework too. Okay. Yeah, so it's okay if you want to not pause and you do want to just listen, but you do kind of spoil yourself on some answers. So you should consider that as well. Okay, anyway, the answer here is black can actually play this one. If black blocks one of the sides, white just pushes and plays in the middle again. So black can play here. And what this is going to do actually is white can't benefit from pushing like this because it's going to make black super alive. So white has to basically poke that eye shape away. And still pushing is not helping because the self atari, to try to break this eye with atari, it's a self atari. So poke, connect, but that is not a killing shape. It looks like a killing shape because in the beginning we looked at these killing shapes and we have this 3, right? And then we go to nope, that's not it. We go here. It looks like 3. The problem is there's 2 extra spaces. And what that means is here, as you can see, we took away all of black's outside liberties already. So for white to prove black, like for someone to be dead, if someone's already dead, right, you don't have to actually keep playing inside to take them off because they already count as dead. And I know that's a cause of conflict with beginners, especially playing in person. But still, by definition, though, usually for a group to be dead, the other player has to have the ability to prove them dead, like to actually manually play moves and capture them. It doesn't mean that they're required to by the rules. It just means that they need to be able to, or else it's not dead. So, so for white to do that here, white would have to make a non-killing shape here. You notice it's L shapes. This is also non-killing shape. This one. There's 2 middles. 2 middles. There's no single middle. Yeah, these 2 are both the middle. So let's jump back again. That's a Seki. Seki, it means both alive. It's a stalemate. So if black plays, it's a self-atari for black. And white actually doesn't even need to play, by the way. I know many of you, even SDK players, single digit Q, still have this kind of bad habit where you just waste moves, like where your opponent self ataris like this, and you're so happy about it that you just play there. But this white move is worse than passing. So black played something worse than passing. They killed themselves, right? When it was a Seki, if they play here. So cool. That's you can be happy, but you lose a whole turn plus minus, also minus a point. Because black is dead already, right? Even if black takes you off, you just play in the middle. So you need to not get so excited and like trying when you lose a turn, you could lose potentially like 20 points. Most of the game, moves are still worth 15 to 20 points or more. Most of the game. So the best moves. So it's a huge loss to yourself. Like you actually lose a big percentage of what you gained from the whole kill. If you do that. So which would be like, what does white get? So yeah, what does white get from this kill? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6. Sorry, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So like 22 points, right? So you lose almost all of that by wasting that move, you know? So let's be careful about that. Okay. Anyway, me and my tangents. I keep clicking the wrong thing. Let's think about this one. Okay, you can pause and solve it. How should white kill this? Or what can white do? Okay, so if white Atari's here, black can actually make a ko. Black can't just connect because this is super dead now. It's actually dead already, in fact. One eye and one eye. So black also can't make the eye here because white just plays anything and it's only one eye. So black can make a ko though. And like if white takes the ko, black can play a ko threat somewhere to make a turn pass and then take back. And now the whole shape is oh, actually I set this up in a weird way actually. Oh, I made a mistake. Sorry. So just now, just now when black was winning the ko, white can actually just play here and then connect. So it's dead. What I meant to show actually is that black can play the... Wait a second. This is just dead. Okay, I guess the context we needed was maybe for white to not have a stone here. Okay, so that way, let's say that there's like stuff nearby. Basically, if black is taking the ko and white tries to play this, black can win the ko. And if white breaks all the eye space here, black can connect out. So in a real game context, right, this matters. I set it up by accident in a way where getting out doesn't do anything for black. Because white even has a stone there to block the way. So I set this up a little bit wrong, actually. My bad. But basically, you don't need to do that. You can just pop the stone in there first and then turn this into a... That's a false eye here, right? So that's just a dead space now. This being a false eye is the same as looking at it like this. I know if you guys, if any of you listening are like 20 something Q, then probably false eyes are still giving you some confusion sometimes or illusion. So anyway, yeah, it's like, this is a real important real game skill. Don't walk into unnecessary co's. Here's another, I'll show you guys another real game example of this kind of unnecessary ko. So let's say you killed your opponent, you killed your opponent's group and it looks like this. And we'll just put some kind of like, you know, whatever, something here. When they play like this, I know many of you might just try to block it directly, but then they can cut, and now you have to fight Ko to save the white stone. This Ko. So black can get 2 moves in a row somewhere now. That's a terrible... They're going to gain back almost all, or maybe even all, the death here. So if you know that black is dead, then why would you have to cover so tightly, right? You can just play like this, and they still can't go anywhere, right? And then there's no Ko. Or even if they wedge, you just atari, you just connect, or atari and connect. No problem, right? So yeah, watch out for this kind of direct atari block. They can cut. Okay. Anyway, let's move on to this next section of straight lines, straight line eye spaces. So here's a problem. This is actually one of the first problems my first teacher ever gave me. I still remember. Yeah. So what do you guys think? Black to play. Let me get rid of this text here. It's probably confusing. Black to play. Okay, I'm going to show the answer now. So this is using the basic Go principles of like the corner. The corner gives more eye space. You have an extra spot at T1. So what happens when you turn this corner? Okay, you know, in Monopoly, many of you, especially North Americans, I'm not sure for Europe. Do people play Monopoly in Europe too? I kind of want to say yes, but I don't know. Okay, Monopoly. You go around the board trying to buy territories. So in Monopoly, there's a spot. It's where you guys start the game. One of the squares, it's called Go. And whenever you pass Go, like you make a full round trip, basically. Or not round trip, like when you go around the map one whole time, you get $200 or whatever. You get like a little money bonus. And so turning the corner is kind of like passing Go. I guess it's a bit of a silly analogy there. Definitely not worthy of like a minute or two, but yeah. So you'll see that here. I mean, yeah, so if black tries to make an eye space, more eye space by playing here, then when white plays like this, black needs to try to maximize again. But then where does white play? Right in the middle, right? Black is dead. And if black plays the corner, black actually gained 2 points instead of 1. So now white plays outside first, black plays also outside first, and then now there's 2 middles. This is 4 spaces, so it becomes the non-killing shape over here. So yeah, so this is correct. You have to make sure you don't hane. Hane, it can kind of increase, like it usually doesn't increase eye space. Because we're in the corner, it does still actually create T18 for black. Whereas, because if white played first, it would get filled. So it did actually gain black 1 eye space, but that makes it no better than this one. This one, though, gains black 0 eye spaces. The only reason white got an eye space here is because black turned the corner. So even with a throw-in, which reduces black's eye space, by the way, it makes a false eye. Black doesn't get an eye here, so that's the same as black looking like this. That's why that's why white would sacrifice a stone, because we're making black fill up their own eye space. It's also why white doesn't need to connect this. I know a lot of beginners want to connect here, but the whole point is that you don't need to, because it's a false eye for black. It's cut. The eye shape is cut on the diagonal here. One of the tricks for noticing when it's a false eye is when the liberties are not connected northeast, southwest. So this is a diagonal connection, right? But notice like these stones are all connected like north, east, north, north, north. This way is west, right? There's no diagonal. There's no northeast, northwest, southwest, any of that. So like this is diagonal, but that one, who cares? Because it's connected to here and it's connected to here. So the connection is not really this. The connection is this. So like that. Oh, like that. Oh my god, that looks very diagonal. Like this. That's my best attempt at a straight line. Yeah, northeast, southwest. So anyway, this one is diagonal, so it's cut. Anyway, so yeah, the answer is not to Hane and get thrown in, but to just extend in the corner. Hane is good for endgame, right? You can reduce white's territory more by putting it here instead of here. But this one's better for life and death because there's a throw-in. Throw-in is going to kill black here. Both of these would be full size. Okay. Next, let's go to some more straight lines. I'm going to speed up a bit. I don't want the video to get too much more than like an hour. Okay. What do we think of this? It is dead already. Okay. What do we think of 6 on the side? So the status, what you can say, right, is dead already, unsettled, or alive already. Unsettled means it's determined by whoever plays first between black and white. Yeah. Okay, so 6 on the second line is dead. Even if black plays first, white simply reduce and play in the middle. You can also kill like this technically, but that's not that's an inferior solution because in a real game, giving them the stone on the side might matter. Like maybe black can get a connection to something that was over here now while you're busy doing that. Or maybe black doesn't connect, but they get a forcing move now to make you respond to keep these dead. So it's usually better to follow the fundamental and play from the outside. It's a good habit, outside first method. Okay, how about 7 on the side? Oh, it looks like I forgot to post 8. My bad. Okay. Oops. So yeah, long story short here, it's going to be like this on the in a straight line on the second line. 6 is dead already, 7 is unsettled, and 8 is alive already, meaning black does not need to add a move if it's 8 in a row. This is only 7, right? So this is unsettled. So whoever plays first succeeds. If black plays first, black can be alive. Yeah, white plays first, reduce, reduce, middle. And again, right? Again, if they capture here, don't atari that, just jump. Don't give them this co-fight. Okay, anyway. So that's a good thing to remember for the second line. Let's move on to small L shapes. So you guys can learn a lot about these in the other classes, so I'm not going to spend too long. I do think we should maybe speed up a little bit. So small L, which is this shape here, is actually dead already. Okay. We talk about that a lot, that the L shapes, and to some extent the J shapes. We talk about them a lot in the other classes. So yeah, the other life and death classes that we have. Now, here's a problem for you guys. What if there's a Hane there? I know I said that Hane doesn't really increase eye space, but it can still affect yeah, it can affect the solution that white has to use basically. So I'm not even going to say the answer here. if you really want to know so badly, then bring it up in the study group and ask. You should try to work it out yourself though. So my original plan was to show all the answers to these, but for some, I think it's, if I show all the answers for everything, it makes the video go too long. We do have like a pretty full primer here of all the important shapes, and so we have to pick up the pace a bit. So this is going to be a homework, and another one is going to be this one. So variation 8 and 9 for small l. So did it change anything, or is it still dead? Now let's look at small l plus 1. Small l plus 1, one leg like that, sticking out. This is unsettled. Yeah. Again, you can work on this as a. I've already given this problem many times in like the study group homeworks, and shown it in classes and done it interactively with you guys in classes. So we're not going to go through the variations here. This video is more, there's some teaching, there's some explanations, but it's mostly a primer and a reference point even. So this is the unsettled. Whoever plays first makes it alive or dead. And another small l plus 1, where instead of on the corner, the close to the corner side, it's on the farther side. This is the same, it's unsettled. Small l plus 1. Let's look at small l plus 2. Right? Small l plus 1, 2. 2 legs. This one is alive already. The main thing with this you have to be careful with as black is that when they hane, you don't want to block it directly because you get some danger. So you want to play a move inside like this. You need to play a vital point inside. To be the most correct, it should be between the 2-2 and the 1-2. It's the one that's closer to their move. So if they hane from this side, we play the 2-2. But if they hane from this side, we play the 1-2. It's closer. That's the little kind of mnemonic thing to remember. And if they play in the middle, you just need to figure it out for yourself. I don't want to go through everything here, but it's not too hard to figure out how to live here. Like you can play here to make A and B. Yeah. Now let's see. There's a variant where black, instead of putting the stone here when white threatens it, they put it here. Yeah, this is alive too. It's a little bit inferior most of the time because of white has an end game to Tsuji to put a stone in here and then descend, and black has to lose that stone. Something like this. So it's a little bit inferior to solid connect. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. This one. So yeah, the reasoning to do one or the other has to do with like very, very specific particular needs of outer situation. I don't think we should talk about it here. But if you're curious about it, you can ask me. Yeah. So let's move on to, I want to show these Z shapes. So this is like those pesky Tetris shapes we looked at. In the context of the one trying to kill someone else, these were shown as non-killing shapes. This is when you put them inside your opponent's territory, but they don't kill because they have 2 middles. They do kill if they can become this, and then there's only 1 middle, and black captures it and you play in the middle. But as long as they can keep you to this shape, which we talked about earlier, so right, like that is not going to kill black because there's 2 middles. But we're not talking about it this time as a killing shape. We're talking about it this time as an actual corner of its own. Totally different conversation. This is a shape that, something to take notice here is that It is even smaller in eye space than the small L. Small L, do you remember what we said about the small L? The life and death status? What's the status of the small L? It is dead already. So let's go through that. Small L, it's the smallest L you can make with your stones, right? Anything smaller is not an L at all, right? So a small L. Don't get it confused with large L. We're gonna talk about that later. So small L is dead already. Small L plus 1 is unsettled, and small L plus 2 is alive, okay? Just like when we learned about the stones along the second line, we learned that 6 or less is dead already. 7 is unsettled, and 8 is actually alive. 6, 7, 8, okay? And then again, small L, dead, small L plus 1, unsettled, and small L plus 2 is alive. This is very important. Small L plus 2 comes from a shape like, let's say, for example, you 3/3 invade this one, large knight. And then you get small L plus 2. And this is alive already. Okay, so that's a useful one. Let's get back to the Z. So the Z is just dead. White doesn't even have to play. But if you're confused about that, or it's not so clear to you, you're not so confident, spend some time working on it. Do it in your head for a bit, and then play it out, and you know, quell your worries about it. You do want to, even as someone, even if you're very DDK, you do want to be strong at this shape. You do want to be able to recognize it as dead. You want to get to that point. So just keep in mind it's smaller eye space than the small L. This is 6 points of eye space before reductions, right? And this is only 5 before reductions. So dead already. And then same thing. Don't get confused by a changed orientation. It's the same thing. Okay. So now let's move on to a slightly more advanced section, our large L. This is also a shape that comes up a lot in real games. So this is a shape that is, it's a 1,000-year ko actually. So black has to attach here for the best result, and white cannot afford to let black connect under. So white must hane. Black can't play like this because that one is going to partition out a new eye shape there. Like that. So, or if black pokes and cut and connect, then it's a non-killing shape now. So white is simply alive now. So black can't play like this. Black has to play the other middle over here. And then white needs to find a way to partition this into 2 compartments, right? So white plays here, because even though this looks like a false eye, it won't be a false eye if these black stones come off the board, right? So black naturally plays the atari, and if white plays like this, then this will be a direct ko. Whoever wins the ko right now decides the life of white, and that's because this white move is a mistake. Actually, white should actually go here. And what this does is it makes there be empty spaces here. This is really important to have 2 empty spaces, because it means that even if black wins this ko and then immediately connects it to finish the ko, right, to stop white from taking it back, this is actually going to be a Seki, because even though black looks like a killing shape, the 5 shape, because the extra spaces, when black has to walk the walk, right, and prove white dead, black can't, because adding any stone would make black into a non-killing shape now. So yeah, so it's a Seki. So rather than connect, black has the option to make it a Seki if they think it makes them win the game. They can do it later. Because white can't really play anything. Like if white takes the ko and then fills it, white's just dead. That's a killing shape now. That's just a killing shape. So white can't do that. If white wants to do anything, they have to make it like let's say black just takes an outside liberty, white would have to atari black, and then now it's a direct ko, and that's usually bad for white. So white normally leaves it, and all the decision making can be done by black normally. So black decides, okay, do I want this to be a Seki later in the game, right? The players can leave it for a while. Do I want it to be a Seki, or do I want to fill this and fill this and then put white into atari and now fight a direct ko? So the reason it's called 1,000-year ko is these two qualities. It's like the person who played inside gets to it generally makes the decisions and of like, is it going to be a Seki or is it going to be a ko? And the other feature is that typically there's some outside liberties which have to get filled before the ko could even happen. Because this looks like a ko, but if black starts trying to do this before those were filled, white's just going to double atari from here, and black can't even connect, and it's just alive now. You see? So those are the features of the 1,000-year ko. 1,000-year ko is difficult to explain. It's a ko that is not immediate and is related to outside liberties. And it's the case where the person inside will decide between a ko or a Seki. So that's the 1,000-year ko. Also, even though it looks like white doesn't have that many extra outside liberties, it could have been a different shape. The 1,000-year ko comes in lots of different shapes. It doesn't even have to be from an L shape. And imagine white has all these liberties, right? But is like surrounded. This is now the 1,000 years really feels like 1,000 years, because black would have to fill all those up, you know, before making it a direct ko. So normally black just won't touch it for a while, because white also can't touch it. Because if white, like, you know, if white plays something and then black just does that and just connects, then white's dead. This is a Seki. This is white dead. Dead. Okay, that's 1,000-year ko. I think we should move on. So large L with no outside liberties is a Seki. Is 1,000-year ko. I'm sorry. Large L with an extra liberty. How about that? Well, I'm just gonna show it. Black tries to do the same thing, but white has a special Tetsuji here, which is this weird move. If black just ataris like this, it's going to be a Seki shape. Just like this. Because black adding anything would make a non-killing shape. And white playing anything would kill themselves. That's a Seki. So black tries to resist the Seki by atarying here. And yeah, if white plays, let's say like this, black's going to become a killing shape. Or like this, then black's going to become a killing shape. So what white actually does here is a weird self-atari. And then black captures, white takes back. That's not a killing shape, so black's better option is to try to go home. But now white can atari here, and black can't save it. So that's a bit advanced, but if you really want to be a master of this big L, yeah, then you need to learn that. So when there was no liberties on the outside, we played out as 1,000-year ko like this. But when there is a liberty on the outside, or multiple, then black still plays like this, but white can have a special Tetsuji here, and black actually has to accept it and go for the Seki. It's a Sente Seki for black, though, right? Black gets to take away all of white's territory in Sente. But if black tries to kill white, white uses a super Tetsuji like that, and succeeds, and then white's just alive now, alive with points instead of alive with no points. If white tries to use that super Tetsuji, as we call it, as we're calling it, when there wasn't any liberties, well, then this time, at this moment when white tries to capture these two stones, it's self-atari now. That's the problem. That's why when there's no extra outside liberty, white has to put up with 1,000-year ko like this. Okay. Okay, so that's that. Large L plus 1. This is actually just alive. And you can understand that because the other one was 1,000-year ko. And 1,000-year ko, out of things that are not fully, like Seki is fully alive, so we're not counting that as even a version of dead. So version of dead, I mean like ko, like direct ko, step ko, those various types of ko, including 1,000-year ko. 1,000-year ko, because it is such a long-winded, difficult ko to start, and because it sometimes ends up as a Seki, 1,000-year ko is actually the closest dead-ish thing to being alive. So if you consider, like when you're fighting a ko, okay, let's make a quick example ko. So here, for black to survive, black's only option is to make a ko to try to fight for making that an eye. Because just connecting is just gonna be dead. So ko is 50-50. Because white takes, and we don't know who's gonna win the ko fight because it's gonna be determined by who has the most big ko threats elsewhere to make a turn go by and then take back, right? So until we count ko threats and think about all that, we don't know who's going to win the ko. It's basically a 50-50. It's also a 50-50 in the sense that compared to just white spending a move to say, okay, black's dead, and you get everything with one move, ko means you have to spend 2 moves, right? So black makes a ko, white spends a move, black plays away, white spends another move to win the ko, and then black plays again. So you need 2 moves in a row now to, so the value of killing this, let's say the value was like 15 points. You spend 2 moves, that means it's only 7.5 points per move, right? So if a direct ko is the most dead kind of ko, well, I guess the most dead ko is a ko that the living person has to actually win multiple times, a multi-step ko on the living side. But basically, if a direct ko, a one-step, you know, a no-step ko, is half alive, you might say, right? 50-50. Then anything better than that is more than half alive. So the way to think about that, so now you would understand why if you watch pros and high dans, they might actually leave this like this as white in the early game because other moves are just bigger. Like it takes black at least 2 moves to kill this, if not more, because it's a 1,000-year ko. Or black might let white, white might just let black play 2 moves in a row. How many points is it really, right? If white plays a move first, white will end up with 7 points. If black plays 2 moves, black will end up gaining so -2, gaining those, and gaining these, and then gaining these. So that's 7. Those are 4. These are 10. So it's going to be 21 points, right? So 21 points is not that crazy. 21 points is the value, is like less than the value of an opening move. It's the value of an early middle game move. So killing this isn't even a big deal, especially if you have to spend 2 moves to do it. There's other factors, like killing white means black's outside becomes stronger, but the point is that usually black also doesn't go after this super early. But weaker, lower level players will, because they're like kill. Or on the defensive side, it's just like, oh my god, I need to live. Oh my god, I'm scared. You know. But yeah, if you ever observe that, right, you'll understand. Because if ko is half alive, then 1,000-year ko is better than that. Because 1,000-year ko is definitely better for the living, the corner person, than direct ko. So 1,000-year ko is something greater than this. So that means like if making this alive was worth, let's say 25, right? Then you, by being 1,000-year ko at worst, you already have most of that 25 value by playing nothing. So you're only protecting a small percent, maybe like a third of it or something if you're adding a move here. So it's gonna be small. So the reason let me think, let me gather my thoughts again. So when you understand that, like I'm trying to help you have the ability to like compare things that you know and logic it out to figure out value, which I just showed, but also figure out status. And so here we know that the like one of the closest, like the closest type of ko to alive is 1,000-year ko. And so what then do we think about a shape that is even more eye space, right? So this is a large L, right? What if we give it a leg? Because black had to actually play here before, threatening to connect at R1. Therefore, we had to go here. But what if it's a large L plus 1? This is never going to connect under to there now. So what if white just goes here now and white's alive? There's 2 eyes. So black has to do something else. So just logically, you can have a guess that you're probably alive because it's something with more eye space than a large L. It doesn't mean that you're sure. It just means that you feel more confident to play away. So that kind of reference, the reference points are very useful. Very high level players do it too. Even taking risks to avoid wasting a move. The important thing as a Go player, if you want to keep improving and if you want to reach high levels, is you need to have a very like serious, let's say strict sense of like not wanting to waste a move. A very high valuation of the value of one move, basically. That's important. Okay. So large L plus 1 is alive. Let me show you guys how large L plus 1 comes to be. It can come from let me think. I already know what it comes from. I'm just wondering, does it come from multiple of yeah, it's this one, right? So there you go. But it also comes from the high one. So for example, if we have like a Chinese opening here on that side, white approaches, black plays here. Common move is to actually 3-3 here. There's also this, there's also other moves, but and if black blocks, then we connect, then we use this, block, and force here, and then like this. There's a slight difference this time because there's a descend that can affect the life and death a bit actually, but in general, like I know this shape to be alive even with that. Like sometimes you need to suspect this kind of first line move. It might change things in the corner. It's good to have the kind of the experience to know that, but in this case, you're also alive. So this is a normal, you know, Joseki play out for this shape actually. And then black will usually add something around here. And white will play lightly with those two. Those two stones don't have much territory anyway because black can push. So don't take them too seriously and just play light, something light. But yeah, that's normal. So that's kind of where this shape comes from. And then we've got this one, there's a defect. Let's pause and think about this. This is especially, this is a good problem for a single digit Q, even stronger ones. If you're really good at the systems that I push you guys to use, then this one is not so hard. Okay, I'm not even going to show that the answers and all that for this one. Rather you guys bring it up in the study group or ask me. Think of this as another homework. I'll show some answers as we go, but some of them I want to just say you figure it out, because teachers I've had also did that to me, like just like you figure it out, like don't give away all the answers, right? Okay. Let's move on. We need to pick up the pace a little bit. Actually, we're pretty, yeah, we're pretty close to the end. Good, 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 good. So a start point 3-3 invasion happens. And so white pushes, black blocks, white pushes. What do you think? Can white stop here? I'm not saying it's like, it's usually not good to, because even if white could live, this move being forcing, being free, is very, very good for black's development, and white becomes tiny. So usually, even if you can live, you still shouldn't do that. Unless black's move here was gote, was like not forcing. But if it's going to be forcing, that means it's going to be free. And free means, like, if it's valuable and it's free, then that's really bad for white. So you should try to play moves that prevent those big freebies. But let's say we decided to nuki, right? Let's just say, right? What's going on here for white? Is white dead? Can white play away again? What's going on with white? So you can pause here. I will take a quick drink. Okay. So, yeah, this shape, I'm trying to think, I'm trying to think, is there any other way to play here? No, yeah, okay, so I only see one reliable way for white, which is to make a ko like that. You can't play here because this simply becomes that dead Z shape. We talked about the Z shape, right? Smaller than the small L in the eye space. So this stone here is just a distraction. You need to understand that that stone is not contributing eye space. So it's the same as looking at like this. It's not any different. The only difference is that the white stone here in a real game, it might be relevant for stuff over here, like this one becoming Atari on black now. The clamp can work and possibly connect to something, but locally this is a dead shape for white. So white needs to make it so that now if black takes that, white just lives because it's a diamond shape here. So black has to Atari and white can't connect because it dies again. So white has to go here, which is like if black can't win this ko and then falls back, then white can live like that and like that. So white can live with ko. Okay, what if white pushes one more time, and then what if white plays away now? What do you guys think? Is it the right time to play away? So it can be playable in some situations, but I generally don't recommend it unless you really know what you're doing. Because black's turn here is locally sente. Now the descend is sente too, and long story short, if white blocks here, this turn over here now actually turns white into a life and death problem. I have shown this many times in my other classes and in my lessons, so we're not going to spend time on this, but this is like a kind of J shape, which we're starting to talk about. And let's say white lives by playing a move. Like that's very painful to give black this one in sente to block off the area. So what you would do is if black actually played like this, you would actually push here once, threatening to just hane up like this. And so black's gonna usually extend, and then you go back and block. Now, even if they turn, you actually became a shape, the 3+3 here, which is alive already. So you can play away. So this black move is not going to be free anymore. It's going to be happening in gote for black. So that means black might not want to play it yet. It's not sente. So 2+3 becomes the life and death problem. like this. But the other 2+3, which is when white pushes like this one more time, that is actually alive already. In fact, that's actually the Joseki. You should actually push one more time because it actually stops it from becoming a tsumego. Yep, so that's the answer for that. And then of course you would just want to know how to kill this white shape here. I've shown it enough that I think I'll just show it here. So reduce. Well, actually, you can pause, right? But yeah. Okay. Reduce. And then the 2-1 and the 1-2 make each other urgent. So now you take this one. That's also why you couldn't reduce from here first, because if you do, then you try to reduce from here, they're going to ignore you and just go there and give up 2 stones, and they're alive. And if you play inside now, they make their eye space bigger, and it's actually alive now. It's going to be like Seki here. So you need to get this reduction. And you can go to the class with the tips. I have tips for exactly this kind of stuff, for what to do before what and what to watch out for. Like where to reduce from first and blah, blah, blah. So reduce, 1, 2. And then any of these 3 that white plays, I mean, this one doesn't do anything. You just do that. Don't do this, do that. And then any of these 3, you can just connect here. And then like if they want to make a second eye, that's a false eye, right? So currently white only has this 1 eye. So if you want to make this eye, you got to go here, but then black ataris, and then white's dead in Gote. So like, and then white goes here, but then black just breaks it there, right? So what if white plays this one? Okay, we still do this, right? This one, we still do this. And what's the next move now? Magic using this, we throw in. And then if they try to prevent this from happening, the false eye, by going here, yes, it's a real eye, but you're in Atari right now. The magic of A2. Boom. So yeah, this is the final killing move. This one and then this one. So this one would be good to learn because it's practical for real games. Reduce. It's also a perfect, beautiful example of the outside first method. Outside, inside. But just because we played inside doesn't mean we're going to automatically keep playing inside. We're going to go outside now. Okay. Now, there's also a curveball move. White could play like this. This one, I'll leave it to you guys to work on yourself. It is killable as well. I have given this for homework before. But yeah, I don't want to give you guys all the solutions. Okay. So you could always pause there and think about it. The more reading, I guarantee you, the more reading you do, it doesn't matter how many things you get right. What matters is how much reading effort do you do. Reading ahead, reading deeper. The more reading you do, little by little, it all builds up. You're working the muscle, you're becoming a stronger player. Don't make excuses not to. You should do the opposite. You should make excuses to read more. That's the right way if you want to keep getting stronger. Yeah, make excuses to do more work, more reading, instead of the opposite. If you do the opposite, like if you do that, you're going to be like in the top 2% maybe, or probably less than 5% of players. Most players are way lazier. So probably you're like top 1% if you're like that. Okay, top 1%, I don't mean talent or how strong you are, but top 1% of that mindset and that benefit. Okay, anyway. Let's look at this J shape. This J shape is actually very similar to the 3-3 invasion one we just looked at. So notice this shape here, the tiger mouth. If we take away that and we just put it back like this, this is the same, but one step in, right? So boom, boom, Now it's exactly this. It's the same. Doesn't matter about a few extra stones that are all dame over there. It became this, and we know how to solve, right? So now it's like the other one, except we already did step one. So now it's time to go to this side, and then boom, boom, and then like that, and like that. We learned this already. So you need to learn how to like see the similarity in the shapes, which is like from exposure, of course, and over time, but also you want to be thinking that way. You want to be looking for that. If you're not looking for those similarities, like similarities in Joseki, similarities in life and death shapes, then you're just not going to think that way, and you're not going to benefit from that. You need to like have that on your mind as a thing to look for. Tripod shape. This was another practical real game shape, like many of these. This one comes actually from a probing move like this. It can come from other situations too, but it's like here, if black plays the usual good move of letting white in. Now in the early game, typically white shouldn't continue because it's actually too small right now. You get a very, very tiny corner that actually, if black plays correct endgame, which is not this one, it's actually this one. If black plays correct endgame here, I guess this can be the more correct next move, but sometimes you don't want this kind of shape, so sometimes you jump. Anyway, white has to play there, and it's gonna be a 2-point corner. If you play like this, you're gonna make white into a 4-point corner. It's not right. So this is the real endgame move. It also forces white to think about how to solve this. If they play like this, then they are a ko. It's gonna be like this. So they have to actually find this move. So anyway, that's a bit of knowledge there, but it's, you know, you give black thickness and you also live so tiny. So it's a big mistake to actually live this in the opening. If you do this probing move, maybe you're trying to learn about it or something, right? Well, I have a class on this. You can look at the tactical evolution of the 135 opening. It also probably comes up in my class called Ninja Art Light Style Light Clone Decoys. I think it's called that. I have a little series of classes with a fun ninja elemental thing going on, just for fun. So that one talks about light stones and stone functions, and you know, because if black goes here, we cross cut and we get a bunch of forcing moves for free, and then we don't have to take care of them. So it talks about that kind of stuff. But black's best response is usually here, and then white would tenuki and just treat that as like a, okay, black locked into the choice of letting me have life here, so I'm not going to do it now though. I just wanted to lock black into that choice. That's the idea. Anyway, you can learn more about that from the tactical evolution of the 135 opening. I believe that one was also shared to YouTube as a sample. So you could also check my YouTube public, you know, videos if you want as well. But yeah, it's in the class content channel. So anyway, that's how the tripod shape can come up. And there's going to be a homework problem at the bottom for you guys, which is after white pushed here and tenuki'd, can black do anything? Let's move on now to the final part. So here for black, how to live. Pause the video and think about it. Okay, I was distracted for a second for a message. Okay, so outside first, right? I mean, first we think like, can we just connect, right? But if we just connect, white will play outside, outside, and then in the middle. And these are only false eyes for black. So no use. So simple connect doesn't work. Okay. There's tiger mouth, but then we poke and black is doomed. Cut or just dead anyway. So we have to try to get more eye space then. That's where, like we talked about earlier, the right case for descend. Okay, descend. If white just plays outside, black can't play here because it's a 5-point eye space. It's also atari here. So black plays this vital point over here, which is like the middle over here. And it also creates Miai now between A and B. So black is now alive. But no, white is the one who failed. That's why it's very important when we're doing our reading. A lot of you guys will stop way too soon because you feel like you thought about everything. It's not true. So it's like it's black to live, and then you gave white a possible move here, not necessarily the right one, right? And then you realized you're alive, and then it's like, okay, I'm done. But no, you're not done. You have to go back and see what can white also do, right? So what if white plays there? Okay, well, if black plays outside first, white's going to cut and capture these 2 stones first. So black has to react. And then if white plays outside first, black can throw in and it's going to be alive. So white has to actually play there or here, which would also be alive for black because white cannot connect. So here, okay, now black can't just, black has to keep thinking outside first, right? Outside first prevents you from thinking of bad moves like this because you're just dead, right? So making our eye space bigger is our best hope. And this actually looks like black is alive because this looks like a Seki, right? If white plays there, like after the liberties are filled, right? If white plays here, it's the 4 in a row, which is a non-killing shape, right? But actually, the L is also a non-killing shape, but we have the special gimmicks of the corner. And so what happens here is after black captures, white can attach, and again, the corner is making us have no liberties, self-atari. So ko. But here's the thing. Black can never play anything because it would be suicide, and white can play this thing at the whatever's the perfect time, and then get the ko. And so this is actually a shape called bent 4. It's not 4 yet until we play here, but in theory it will be. So it's called bent 4 in the corner. It's a very confusing name, and it's a very confusing shape. It's probably even worse for that than the 1,000-year ko, so I'm sorry. But this is called the bent 4 in the corner, and this is actually dead. Black is dead because of the special properties of the corner working against black here. Because of the fact that when black tries to make the second eye here, by playing the other middle, it's actually self-atari because the 1-1 doesn't give us any liberties, only 2, right? In this case, only 1. So because white could wait until all the possible worthy ko threats for black are gone, and then start the ko and then just win the ko because black has no ko threats, the Japanese rules has it as just considered dead without white doing anything. It's just dead. Of course, it's not taken off the board yet, and so if black could kill all the white on the outside or like a couple stones here, then of course black could resurrect the group. So there's that. But so this actually doesn't work. The answer is we actually have to go here and make ko. Again, ko. And this takes me to the next thing I want to show you guys, which is very, very useful knowledge. So yeah, this is some stupid OGS glitches. It's like I made some variations, but then it like all the colors flipped. So I had to redo them down here. And I went ahead and reposted the homework at the bottom. So for any of you guys who look at the file, ignore this homework part here. You can just scroll to the very bottom, and that's where it is again. In fact, this one's missing the 4 problems down here. So so we're almost done. So here, usually the places to continue in this basic Joseki situation are A is the most common. Sometimes we play B, sometimes we play somewhere in these areas, depending on the position. A is overwhelmingly the most common. Maybe A and E, I guess. Yeah, but in some niche scenarios, this one can be good. And anyway, it might come up in your games. And so question is, how should white live now? How should white live now? You can pause and think. So white should avoid bumping their head like this. What they should, because imagine if white just, let's say white made eye space like this, that stone there basically is a neutral point now. Like it doesn't add any space compared to these other 3 white stones. These 3 white stones are doing work, right? This one is not doing much. So we don't want to bump our head there. What we want to do is we want to actually pretend to try to connect out. And we can't cut because we die, but we connect, make black have to connect. Now we gained more eye space and we gained liberties. If we just play knight's move right now, instead of bumping, they can push and cut and just capture us like this because we don't have any liberties on this single stone. It's down to 2 already, right? So we make liberties and eye space by pretending like to connect under like this. And then we play knight's move. Now the push and cut doesn't do anything. A lot of Joseki use this Hane connect strategy. Quick examples. Let's just leave that there. So this pincer and here, push, bump, 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 jump. You see that happening? Or even like earlier, I used an example of like a Chinese opening situation where black is like this and white has the 2 corners. And then white plays here, black plays high, and white 3-3s. And then we're not going to bump our head like that. Bonk. We're going to, we want to do this, but we can't because we get captured there. We can still make something live here, but it's not a good result. So we do this, then go here. So same. So we can live with a sequence like this, and we get the small, we get the large L +1, which we talked about earlier. You can force here first if you want, and then go there. But that's a large L +1, which we agreed was alive, because the large L without +1 was already a 1,000-year ko. But okay, which brings us to the next thing. What if we directly invade without an approach move? Approach move allowed us to get this and this as sente moves, right? Supportive moves to help this one, and then get this, and we have a lot of eye space, right? Remember the rule 7. Yeah, this is guaranteed at least 7 perfect spaces with no defect, right? You see that? So you're alive. But if you go directly, it's a different story. If black has a move added here by themselves, and then without even support, you go here, right? That's gonna be tougher. And so now you don't have this Hane connect as a sente because there's no white stone there. So black doesn't necessarily need to fix it just because there's a cut. Who cares if there's a cut, right? Cut, then just extend or ladder, right? Whichever. White can't do anything to black. So black can make white into a looks like at least a ko. Black can also try to kill white with this one, but then black just has to be careful of like if this clamp is working. This clamp might allow white to be alive. So maybe black's gonna just go for a ko like this, or whatever happens. I'm not gonna reveal more of what happens from here. But basically white actually does need to bonk their head this time because they don't have these moves as sente moves. And then after this, if they just play like that now, they become the Z shape, the Z shape, right? It's dead. We talked about this a few times already. So it's smaller than small L, so it's dead. So we can't play like that, so we have to make hanging connection and then ko. We already looked at something like this. This was, when did I show that? It's fine. Anyway, we did something just like this earlier to make life. So if black backs off, we can go like this and make more space. So you need to, yeah, understand that you have this, sometimes this option of making a ko, as long as it benefits you. Let me just jump back to here. Right here, the only way for black to live and avoid becoming the bent 4 in the corner, dead shape, was to make this ko. Yeah, that would just be dead, right? This would just be only one eye. So that one is super useful because, of course, that the where are we? You know, this knight's move is super common in the opening and middle game. Although, it's good to know about this ko, but I still recommend you guys to use this invasion or approaching. But you guys can learn about that in, for example, the study group posts channel. Even post number 1 actually talks about this one, and also if black goes here. But anyway, yeah, that's going to conclude the class. I need to make sure we finish now. So good, we got through everything. I've listed some homework here. So all the content from this video, you should be very thorough and you should try to master all of it. If you can do that, you're going to be really, really set. Make sure also the classes 115, 116, that you go through those, and other life and death classes. They'll give you the foundations for the outside first method, which is extremely important. And then also some really useful tips. And we go through a lot of actual life and death shapes and stuff in those too. So you'll get additional exposure, additional practice. And then we have these 4, you can pause the screen here, these 4 problems. All of them are black to play. And they're a little bit tough if you're DDK, but you can go ahead and give it a try anyways. Yeah, these are for, yeah, any of the stronger players, especially for those who maybe some of the stuff earlier was too basic, most of it. Okay, yeah, so this is like a video you guys can come back to. I highly recommend. I think it was like decently organized into the kind of the sections of like L shapes, J shapes, straight lines, and all that earlier stuff. And yeah, so I hope you guys will benefit a lot from this, and see you guys in the next class.